baby headband bows. These are great scrap busters, easy to make for gifts. They would cost you a pretty penny if you bought these in boutiques, but since you will soon know how to make them yourselves, there's no need to do that. They're quick to whip up, can make them to coordinate with blankets or sleepers or different outfits, and they're nice and stretchy. I hope this video tutorial today will help to give you a little bit of confidence so you can take that first step into making some stretchy baby headband bows yourself. The materials I used to make a baby knit headband included a ruler, pins or clips, something to cut the fabric with. In this case, I used a rotary cutter, but you could also easily use fabric scissors. And you're going to use some fabric. Make sure that you use a knit fabric, which is a stretchy fabric, for the band that goes around the baby's head. For the bow, you can use any type of fabric you want, from woven to knit. It's your preference. And for the final optional touch, you can use a coordinating thread and a needle to finish off the bow. We'll go over that in the final step. You're also going to need either a sewing machine or a serger. Make sure to use a stretch stitch. Once you gather all your materials together, the next thing you're going to want to do is to cut out your fabric pieces. So for newborn headband with bow, the dimensions of fabric I used were 5 by 14 inches for the band that goes around the head, and you want to make sure that your stretch is going across this way because it's going to be stretching around the baby's head. I cut out a 6 by 9 inch piece for the bow, and again, this fabric doesn't have to be stretchy, but mine just so happens to be stretchy. And you want to cut out a 3.5 inch by 2.5 inch piece for the middle section of the bow. Once you have your fabric pieces all cut out, it's time to pin them together either with clips or straight pins, and then take them over to your serger or sewing machine and begin assembling them. How I start is I take this band and I fold it and I pin it all along this top edge here. Next, we take our bow piece. I turn it sideways like this because it's easier for me. You want to fold down one side, kind of bring it to the middle section, and fold the other side on top of it. That's going to be the middle of your bow, and you're going to pin along this side and this side. This will make it a lot easier for flipping later. Next, we will take both of these to our sewing machine or serger and sew along the edges where you've just clipped. So now that you've stitched along that one side of your band, what you're going to want to do is basically tuck half of it inside the other half to bring the two raw edges together at the top. So it's going to look like this, but half of it's going to be flipped inside. So you just want to make sure that where your seam is, it doesn't twist on the other side. And you want to line up your two seams. And you're going to want to sew in this loop all the way around, but leave just a tiny piece open here so that you can flip it. So there's just a tiny piece open so I can flip it. This is what your headband now looks like once you've flipped it. And the hole, the little hole that you use to turn, should be right by the seam right here. And at this point, if you just want to use this as a headband, you can hand stitch this little hole closed. But since I'm making a bow that's going to go right on top of this seam, I'm not even going to worry about covering that up. What I am going to do is I'm going to take that little piece of 2.5 by 3.5 inch of fabric, and I'm going to turn it face down and kind of sandwich this in here and sew that closed. At this point, if you have a darning needle, you can use that, looks like this. You can use this to tuck your serger tails in. I'm gonna flip this around. And I always tuck my seam into the back. And that is your headband now with the middle part of the bow. You want to take that bow piece that you stitched together the edges on previously, and now we're going to flip it. So from that little pocket opening that we folded in earlier, we're just going to flip it. You can use an edge turner if you have one. And this little pocket will go in the back of our bow, and this will be the front of our bow. Take that headband that we just worked on, and we're going to tuck this side into this middle section. And that's your basic bow headband. At this point, congratulations! You're done with your bow headband. This part is optional, but if you prefer to make sure that everything stays secure, you can take a coordinating thread color along with a needle, and you can stitch along the edges here, making sure to catch this middle section with the bow and the back headband piece. That'll keep everything secure and make sure that nothing moves. But otherwise, you're done.